Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I had a live this morning and a podcast before this and another one after this, so I have got a busy day.
Oh,
Right. Okay, so this is Samuel. Do you prefer Sam or Samuel? I meant to ask that. I'm sorry.
okay.
Sam. Okay, this is Sam Tabor. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Nice. He is the author of Echoes of Fangs and Thorns. Yes, sorry. Echoes of Fangs and Thorns. Yes. And that book is so good. Yeah, so we'll talk about the re-release in your book. But he is a indie author. We'll have his socials down below, and we'll talk about them a little bit later too. And so we're going to talk about your book and your upcoming projects. And this is a book one, so there's a whole series, and so there's all kinds of stuff we can get into. But let's start off with where did your love from writing begin?
Oh, I don't really know. I started reading fantasy back in third grade, and then I had a writing group in high school, my ninth grade year that I joined, and that's when this story originally started. It was kind of based off Aragon because, I mean, he was 15 years old when Christopher Maloney wrote that, so it was a big inspiration back then, and it just kind of evolved from there.
Yeah. Well, and so I'll actually, if you want me to include a link to your interview you did for the newspaper,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
you mentioned that in the newspaper that he was only 15 years old. I did not know that. And I was like, that's amazing. So that like, kind of re-inspired me. So I was like, wow, okay, you don't have to be too young to do it.
And he just re-released another one in his series not too long ago.
In the Aragon series, my
Yep,
husband's trying to get me to read them. I haven't yet, and that's on me. I want to.
phenomenal.
I can't wait.
One of my favorites.
15, that's crazy. And so yeah, that inspired you. And you had a note in your note about the author in the beginning that it was that and then a mixture of your writing class. And I think it was The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings that might have also kind of just really built this in your head.
Yeah, Tolkien's world building, Brandon Sanderson's just epic fantasies.
Oh, that's so exciting. And it is. So we'll go into the next one, which is if someone hasn't had the chance to read your wonderful story, Echoes of Fangs and Thorns, what is a good little blurb you can give them to kind of get them interested in wanting to read this?
Hmm. I would say that it's a different take on modern genres. I mean, it's a combination of a little bit of everything. I have the epic fantasy in there. I kind of did what George R. R. Tolkien did with the multiple point of views. I have built characters and villains that you can love and hate both. I mean, I've had many people say, okay, I'm not sure if this person's a villain or a hero, and that's what I want to do.
Mhm.
I want those twists and turns and to have that moral ambiguity.
Yeah. Well, and I will say too, as a reader or someone that has read this book, is yeah, you have a lot of characters, and I say dangerous, that's not the right word, but that is a hard thing to do as a writer so that your readers can follow along with each character. But you did a great job. Like I knew in their different species and well, I guess they're called species. I don't know. I haven't written other species, but
Yeah,
like they're trolls, or at least the one group is. Um, but you do it in such a way that you can just say the name. I'm like, I know who you're talking about, and that's a huge thing to do.
yeah, and we haven't even really touched on two of the other races.
Yeah.
Well, technically three of the other races, because there's a there's a fourth race in there that nobody really has picked up on yet.
Interesting. I have to think back at the book now. So that's a little fun Easter egg to go find when you read the book. So that kind of goes into the next question, which, and this is really hard to do. A lot of authors actually struggle with this, myself included. But if you could put, you kind of did name a genre, but like what kind of genres would this fall under and the tropes?
I mean, it can be classified as dark fantasy, coming of age, epic fantasy, swords and sorcery. I mean, there's so many genres that
Mhm.
unfortunately, which makes it very hard for marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Because what do I market it as?
You're not the only one. That's literally, I see so many people say that exact same thing. They're like, it falls into so many tropes and categories. I have no idea
The
what to market it.
only trope it doesn't fall in is romance.
Right. Well, I don't know. There's a little blooming something in there that I was like,
It's
ooh.
a little blooming, yeah. I had to be
Yeah.
very careful with that one.
Yeah. No, I love that. Um, okay, so do you actually happen to have a quote that you really like from the book that you would like to share today? I know that's kind of putting you on the spot.
Oh yeah, easily. One of my favorite lines I wrote is by Silverfang. I do not owe you anything. I'm trying to remember the exact wording of it. I do not owe you anything. I still taste the copper veins that me and Dalmon opened.
Wow. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, favorite lines, and any line by Jeff, of course.
Yeah. Well, and for those that haven't read it yet and don't know Silverfang, can you kind of explain that character? Because I love that character.
I'm trying to think of okay how to explain it without giving spoilers. Silver
Yeah.
and with the updated version, I found the plot holes that you found when you did the editing. So you'll if you do a reread, you'll actually get a little bit more into that with the re-release because the re-release added almost 20,000 words.
Nice.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Um, but Silverfang is a very complex character. You will find out who he is as you read the book, but he is essentially a werewolf, but not exactly a werewolf. We'll go into his backstory a little bit more in book 2 and 3, but you could kind of say he's an altered personality of one of the main characters.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah, that's good. You're right. That's a tough one to talk about without spoilers.
Yeah, yeah, kind of a spoiler when you find out who he is.
But I really love that character. You did a great job with him. And I do love the different species, races, however you would classify that, because I'm not a fantasy writer yet, so I'll get there someday. But I love how you did that. I love like just the magic part of it, because I think it was that people don't really know like magic exists, but they don't really talk about it as much, or they don't use it as much, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
magic is kind of forbidden due to the Thorn War. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
magic was used back then, so people kind of fear magic. There are races that use it, like the Vexmead, they use it in their forging. The Sylvie are basically magical; they use the magic the most, but we haven't really touched much on them yet. With the re-release, there is actually a character I added that will touch on their magic a little bit more.
Okay.
It's one of my little interludes. And then Bazel kind of uses magic, but it's pretty basic. They use it more in a economical sense.
Hmm.
Bless you, ill, stuff like that. But Saragora, no, magic is kind of outlawed, and there's a reason for that.
Yeah. See, but you have so many layers to that. I love that. That's a whole other concept for the reader to grasp onto.
And once we actually get into how the magic system works, I've
Mm,
created a very unique system that is very complex.
nice. That's so exciting.
It's simple, but yet complex.
Right. Well, and okay, so let's quickly talk about the re-release because otherwise you're gonna be like, what are you talking about? So he is coming out with it again. He's re-releasing this book. Are you still gonna update the cover or was the book
No,
updated?
same cover. We just added
Okay.
the subtitle,
Yeah.
the cover design that I did, and then we updated the blurb on the back.
Yeah. I
And that
liked
is,
the cover. I thought it was great.
we were gonna try to do a little bit of a lighter cover, but the people who created it it didn't seem to fit. It was very AI generated, and I just didn't care for it.
Yeah.
More hand drawn style.
Yeah. No, I really like your cover. I think it looks great. And then you can always, the new one for the next one, for the next book, and then one after that. Well, how many books are you planning on having in this? Or are you not sure yet?
I know this series will at least be 3 books,
Okay.
and then have a prequel that should be 1 to 3 books series planned. That you could, it's technically set before this series, but you should not read it until after book 2.
Mm,
We'll explain the Thorn War and give some spoilers on the magic system and some other stuff.
okay. So yeah, you are taking like the Lord of the Rings Hobbit approach kind of to that.
Yes, and
Yeah.
then I have some ideas for some of the other continents in this world. So I might kind of explain some other series that they'd be in the same world but kind of set apart.
Yeah. Speaking of continents, are you still looking for someone to do the map?
Yes.
Okay, so that I wanted to make sure we say that in here because if you know of anyone who does maps in books, please comment below, or I will have this. I want to clip this one out and put this on TikTok too, so people can comment there. But we are looking for someone to do a map for him, and
And
'cause you have a beautiful world.
it'll be a really cool project because I only have so many places in this world right now. So they'll actually get to create some of the towns and villages to kind of fill in
Mhm.
them and possibly use later in the books.
Yeah. Well, and if you work well enough with them too, and they have a good eye for it, they can kind of visualize it. You can get character art and fan art out of it too. They could, I mean, draw more of it and build onto that and just make it a whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm needing. It's a very
Yeah.
big project.
We will find you a map person.
Yes, I need one horribly.
All right. Well, so one of the things that I also enjoyed from your book, and if you wanted to touch on this or not, but before each chapter, you had a little chunk, and was it from a diary or from some? Is that the
Yeah,
book?
it's from journal, some journal entries. Yes,
Okay.
and with the re-release, I put all of them in like chronological order at the end of the book.
Okay. I
Some
like
people,
that.
uh, yeah, because they're not in order in chapters. There's reasons for that, because they
Yeah.
kind of have a little bit of spoiler, but yes, designed to be kind of backstory.
No, I like that. I thought that was a unique touch to it that added to every single chapter. That was really good.
I stole that from Brandon Sanderson. I'm not gonna lie, it's something he does in one series.
But see, and then we don't see it that often too. So even you using it and like other people can use it too. And it adds a layer to the story a little bit more for the reader.
Yeah, I don't see. I think about the only ones I see it in is Brandon Sanderson. Fourth Wing does it. They
Oh
have
yeah.
they do
I
it.
I forgot about that. Your what's up next for your writing project? So you're working on after the re-release, you're working on book two right now?
I'm working on book two. Book two has became a problem. It is a lot harder to write book two now that I actually have a plot that I have to follow. So adding stuff in and the way I ended book one, I'm trying to decide if I want to do a time skip
Mm,
or start right after basically book one.
right.
And that gets complicated because there's some stuff, some characters that we don't know the fate of at the end of book one that I'm kind of have. Which book two with the re-release actually will have a chapter from book two in it now
Okay.
that could it will potentially be chapter one or it might be a later chapter. I haven't decided yet because the way I write is weird. I write chapters and then I move them around.
Oh no, I do that too.
It's a very complex process. I love it.
Yes. It's not for the weak. Not at all. Well, and I will say too, just world building is huge. Creating a whole different species and magic system is huge. And then multi-books is so complicated. Again, it's not for the weak. So you're gonna be on this little journey for a hot second,
Yeah,
but it's gonna be
I love
beautiful at the end.
the program I use is amazing for plots and
Mm.
finding plot auto create because it has a feature where you can analyze the entire book. And then I've watched a video on it where you take that excerpt, the entire analyzation, put it in a different document, and it basically analyzes each chapter. So you can put book two in there, so you're following the plot line and not making plot holes. That's bad.
Oh,
It
that's
is.
awesome.
I love the program.
What's the name of the program?
AutoCrit,
Okay.
you can get a lifetime membership for like $400 right now. You could try it right now. They have a deal going on. You could try the program for $1 a month or for a couple months.
Yeah.
But
No, I'll have to look into that.
oh, it's amazing. I love it.
Well, yeah, and especially for something again like the multi-book thing, it's so easy to fall into a plot hole because there's something that you could have thought of like beginning of book one and you're on book three and you're just like, yeah, I forgot about that. And you don't realize until you go through to reread everything like side by side and you're like, yeah, I missed that one.
Oh yeah, there's I have caught with your edits two major plot holes that I'm surprised you didn't catch. Like Kylan being in the beginning of the chapter and then suddenly nowhere else in the chapter and then showing up again at the end.
Oh, yeah, I didn't catch that.
Like literally
See, but and
time.
there's so many and like we don't want to get reader fatigue too with our own books. So like there's times too where I'm like I have to just put my book down and walk away because I've read it 70 times. But yeah, there's times you go back and read it the 71st time and you're like, how did I miss this? Or
Oh
someone
yeah.
else finds and you're like, how did I miss that? It
And then
happened.
I literally forgot Finn Thor.
Mm.
Like, so I'm gonna have to do something with him in book two. Like he's like they don't mention him towards the end of the book. I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to add him in. I gotta figure out what I'm doing.
It happens.
Minor character. You forget about him.
All right. Oh, so you do a bunch of book signings, and I'm so jealous. I want to so bad. I'm right at the edge of doing them. But did you want to talk about the upcoming book signing and see if you wanted to invite people to come there, or did you want to keep that kind of more personal?
Yeah, I've actually have one next weekend at the Columbia, Missouri Mall.
Okay.
We'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the second through the fourth. My wife will be selling candles, and then I'll have my book, and then some of like my book merch, puzzles, blankets, some pins, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Then we're going to be at the Dragon Lake Renaissance Festival. It's the first year, I guess they're doing it in Laurie, Missouri, the 17th and 18th, and then 24th and 25th. So I have a lot of book signings this week.
Yeah.
I have another one in June.
Right. No, that's exciting. And I can put that information down below too so people can have that to look at as well. But
Also, website now, it lets me add events, so I
oh,
did that this morning. So
that'll
it's
be
also
fun. Yes, and I will also have your website down below too. Because you have a really great website.
yes, it is an amazing program.
Yeah.
Tortula is coming a long way. They're supposed to be adding more stuff slowly.
Yeah. No, that's good. So we are rocking it on time, so we can jump into the artworks and then just kind of go back and forth and just talk about books and your stories and just stay in the chat. But I have a segment called Artworks, and so what I do is I ask on TikTok for people to give me three random words, and I give it to the podcasters ahead of time. They put those into anything, any type of art, so stories, lyrics, paint, draw it, or something. And I cannot remember because I didn't put it in your notes. Do you remember the three words I gave you?
I do not. It's on TikTok, and my laptop died, so I'm having to use my phone.
You're good. I can go there and get it. Did you want me to read your thing that you sent?
Yeah, that works. So
Um,
I know you gave me like six words, and I tried to use all of them. I was being a smart ass.
oh, I missed that you did the all six of them.
I
Okay, so yeah,
did.
yours were pictures, flowers, diamonds. And did you use the ones before? Oh, there were accidents.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss it. You did that. Okay, okay. So yeah, I gave him there were accidents, which isn't really just three random words, it's a phrase. And so then I also gave him pictures, flowers, diamonds, which are three random words. And so this is what you came up with. It was all crazy. I was tasked with a simple request, take some pictures. There was no other request, just take some pictures of flowers. It's an unusual set though. Who suspected a cave full of flowers? But not just any, these were made of diamonds. I took those pictures, that I admit, but it was all an accident. How I fell in love with the diamond in the rough. That's great. This is a cute little short story, and you put all six of those words in there. That's amazing.
Really writing exercise, honestly.
See, and I did this with the first podcaster too. I'm really loving this segment because I love seeing it's just three random words and seeing your guys' brains just explode with creativity because we all have so much potential inside of us.
I'll have to tag you. There's a guy if I'll have to find him, but he posts a lot of like hero villain things. Like he'll give you like a line, and what would the last line and the first line be? And I do them a lot.
Ooh.
They're really fun. They're
Yeah.
really right writing exercises too to kind of get your mind flowing.
I like that. That's interesting. Well, and I'm just now dabbling myself into short stories for different anthologies, which I just love the idea of that, having a bunch of authors' stories together. And I would love to have my own someday, but I got a
I
few
mean,
projects going on. Yes, I've been diving into short stories, and there's so many different avenues that we can creatively make stories, and it just blows my mind how everyone does what they do.
oh yeah, those are fun. I've read a few of those. Or they'll be in like the same world, or they'll be like little mini short stories that are like horror. A lot of horror authors honestly do it, and a lot of romance authors will have
Mm,
like small ones that are connected and connect with characters. It's kind of a big trope.
yeah.
Therefore,
Oh, yeah.
honestly, it's not something you see very often anymore.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know because I think they're coming back right now, and maybe that's because we have such a huge community of indie authors, and everyone's just trying to like get their names out there. So they're like, "Yeah, put me in a book. I don't care." I mean, people aren't even paying people anymore; they're just throwing their names in a short story in.
True, indie authors is where it's at right now.
hmm
Because people realize in self-publishing, unless you can, somehow get a deal with like Tor Books or Penguin House.
Yeah. So, well, that's kind of a good question. So, tell me about your indie author or not even the process, but like becoming an author and how that all felt. Because becoming an indie author is a very jarring adventure. How was that for you?
I mean, I didn't pick up. I started the story back in 2009 and didn't pick it up until last year and like finished it in like 6 months. And I kind of published too fast, honestly. I didn't really have a following, so it probably heavily killed my sales in the beginning. Probably still killing my sales because it's once you publish on Amazon, once your book's out there, it's hard to get it to the top charts unless you sell thousands of copies in the first, couple months.
Yeah, it's
So,
hard.
but I mean, I did all my own editing, publishing, everything, and they make it sound harder than it is, but it's really simple. I mean, you can publish a book for, know, $100
hmm
basically, or I mean, if you want a nice book cover, you can. I mean, under $1,000, you can publish a great book
Oh yeah,
easily.
yeah, absolutely.
That's where it's difficult.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, and I think that is the biggest struggle for an indie author is the marketing part. I mean, between we were talking, or a lot of people just talk about how like just even summarizing their book is so hard to do because you just want to share the whole thing with them, especially for someone like you who has a full world. Like, how do you blurb that? It's so hard.
It is very difficult. That's why, I mean, I actually condensed the new blurb so much because the old one was so open and it was a mouthful. The
Yeah,
new leaves a little bit more vague.
yeah. I know, and it's so tricky because then you're like, do I give away just like hints of stuff? Do I want to give away something that might gather their attention? Like, there's not a balance there. Or maybe
I
there
mean,
is, I just don't know it.
my new opening line, I think I like. Peace
Okay.
was built on lies and it's starting to crack.
Ooh, yes.
So, like, I think that's going to hook some people.
Yeah. And see, I think that's another one, another thing I really loved about your book is you write so poetically. And now, granted, this probably does relate more to Aragon, and again, I haven't read that yet. So, but you write so poetically that like the way you described a tree or the light hitting a tree felt like a poem, and it was just beautifully described versus like the light hit the tree, which I struggle with. I would be the author that said the light hit the tree. But you do such a good job with that.
It's difficult. I mean, it takes a lot of rewrites, just reading a lot of different fantasy to come up with ways of saying different things. But it also helps you get a higher word count. I'm not gonna lie. Describing things a little differently, and I like doing it because it immerses the reader.
Yes. That's what I was gonna say is that helps the reader kind of just dive directly into it, kind of like they're putting on a VR headset and they can see it in
Mhm.
front of them.
In the same breath, you got to kind of keep it toned down because if you do too much, you start talking about a tree for 3 pages. Brandon Anderson, who talked about a bug for like 4 pages.
Yes. Yes. I had one as a little rant. I was trying to be more descriptive, and so this girl is having a conversation, and then she just looks down, sees an ant on a leaf, and she's just like trying to get like disassociate from the conversation. So many people that I had proof it were like, "What's with the ant?" I'm like, "Why can't I have the ant?" Like I'm being descriptive. It's so hard.
It works though.
Yeah. All right. Well, what we could do is I think we're about close to that 10-minute mark anyways. And so I will have all of your links down below for your website and your interview because I thought that was really cool. And then I mean, I can have your socials link down below. Is there any other specific thing besides your socials, books, and your website that you want me to add in there?
I can't think of anything now.
Okay. Do
Maybe maybe the upcoming event for the local people, but other than that, yeah.
yeah, okay. Is there anything else you want to talk about, like socials or follow you on? I mean, are you more active on TikTok or Instagram or both?
I'm more active on TikTok than anywhere.
Yeah, me too.
Tik- TikTok and Facebook are my main two. I don't really post on Instagram that much.
Okay. All right. Well, I hate cutting it short, but also we're going to talk after this too. But I would love to have you again, especially once you have the re-release fully out. And if you're working on two, or if you want to wait till you get closer to the end of two and you're about to release it and go through that whole process.
Oh, it's back out. The book one is back out. It's been back
Oh,
out
nice. Okay.
for weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations.
But book two, hopefully by November, maybe,
It's
possibly.
possible. Yeah,
That's my goal. Well, we'll see.
it can happen. It'd surprise you. But yeah, I mean, even before book two, because we don't have to wait that long. But if you ever want to come back on here, and honestly, we can come on here and just talk about whatever. I don't have a theme for this podcast right now. I am just trying to talk about people's books and get them some engagement. But we can talk about whatever. We can talk about magic. We can talk about not politics. I'm terrible at politics, but anything other than that.
Definitely, I'm
Yeah.
definitely do that.
All right. Well, let me stop the recording if my mouse will work, and then you and I can chat.